Alright, now let's get to the
This
waterfalls of
ancient city
Agartha.
occupies many layers, each one being the foundation for the next. It is a labyrinthine maze of dead ends and forgotten walkways.
Sounds like
Danger
a
lurks
lovely
around
place to
every corner.
vacation.
He has shown great resilience.
Just, watch out for the bugs.
Take him longer than anticipated, and
Well, so
deeper
long
than
as they aren't
any man
infected by
has
the
ever
T-virus,
ventured
we
in
should be
sections.
fine.
He will need all his wits to find an alternative route into the heart of the city, where his destiny awaits him.
You don't have to be so melodramatic, Patrick Stewart.
He's Patrick Stewart. What else are you going to get him for?
Exactly, Tim.
Apparently a piece of shit, according to the Emoji Movie.
It's like getting Reb Brown, not getting him to scream.
Oh wait, that happened with Nightclaws.
In Captain America.
That too. Alright, there's a scroll already, so go ahead, Pedro.
Okay. I have been looting my brother's corpses in search of gems. I got enough. I will, if I'm invincible. These fools are busy trying to save the world, while I will soon be able to conquer with my newfound power. I know there is a light gem nearby, and I intend to find it. No one can stop me now. No one!
Oh,
Somebody stopped him.
yeah, clearly.
Except for the sword. Ugh.
It is actually an axe, but he's planting his back. That's a bit of a disconnect. Instead with the illustration are kind of the same, even though we don't reflect how the corpses are. But again, artistic decision.
Indeed.
Of course.
There we
Hi
go.
there.
There's a lot of autumn-like aesthetic to Agartha in general. It's actually pretty nice to see.
Such luscious, beautiful colors.
But again, it showcases a bit of decay, which is common for the autumn season. It's a feeling that Don Wolf at least tried to convey in Thumbelina with the passage of the seasons.
Tricky little bugger, aren't you?
That's also another thing. When the spider is guarding, do not attack it, otherwise it will retaliate with the poison attack. Gabriel does have a couple of attacks that actually bypass an enemy guard, but you cannot unlock them just yet because they are too much expensive. Alright, let's tame the spider. Why not?
Okay, now.
There we go.
Now let's just check the handbook on how to control this thing.
It's pretty much the same as the other mount. The spider moves slowly, attacks decently enough, but can use the web in specific context points in order to create passage, for you to traverse.
Truly a majestic mount.
Oh man, this is like Crash at the Titans, where you get to hijack mutants.
I will name this new mount Peter.
Jova, you cannot name things, or you start getting attached to it, and sadly we have to put it out of commission.
Well, in that case, hi-ho, Peter! Away!
And he's gone.
Oh well.
What about Miles?
What about Miles?
Next time
Wow,
we have a
okay,
spider.
well, he knows. We know what Theo thinks of Spider-Verse.
Okay, not the animated version, but you have to remember that I'm a weeb. My favorite Spider-Man, is the one of the 70s Sentai show.
Well, good news, because he's going to be on Spider-Verse too.
Yeah. Although, remember, the I forgot which specific one of the development team did mention that the only condition they would have accepted to have Yamashita would have been if also Italian Spider-Man was included, and so who knows?
Oh, wouldn't that have been great representation to you?
Shut up, Osborne, and make me a macchiato pronto. Oh man.
Oh man, indeed.
Yeah, that's everything that I slightly mentioned before. The camera is fixed most of the time, kind of like, classic Resident Evil. Sometimes it does just showcase pans out a bit in order to showcase the scope of your environment, but otherwise it will try to stay relatively close to Gabriel, especially since, you have to sometimes have combat arenas. There we go.
And
there.
he's a time traveler, apparently.
Sure, if I was a time traveler, man, I'd spoil E3. No, actually, that would explain how I keep getting all these random predictions right.
Okay, the meme about a leaker being a time traveler is old as fuck. I distinctly remember someone in around 2009, 2010 did express a thing about Lupinko. I don't even know if anyone remembers him. Essentially, it was a guy that was mostly leaking stuff about Capcom games. So someone came up with a theory that he was actually a time traveler. That's also another thing that I didn't explain. One upgrade that you can purchase is a special type of attack that you can perform with your secondary weapons. Again, so far you only have the daggers. By holding circles, Gabriel will launch a couple more in an arc trajectory, which will deal a bit more damage. But if instead you also have the light magic, power up active, you will also launch them as like light projectiles, will be more effective against other types of enemies. There we go. I think there's another scroll incoming. Yes. All right, dweebs, you can be this one.
Dramatic music. I have learned that revisiting previous areas could yield beneficial results. I have found items and relics that I wasn't able to use at the time, but as I became stronger, I have been able to revisit locations and obtain valuable items to enhance my skills. I will continue to check my map to make sure that I will do whatever it takes to make sure...
Yeah, exactly. Well, it is still a pretty, nice hint that you've been given. So there is that.
How nice. Yes, Gabriel, that's a tree. Now do something.
I was actually checking if there was an alternate path potentially.
Eva!
There we go. How convenient.
What, his strength there?
No, the fact that the stone, crumbled into a perfectly shaped bridge.
I'm glad they don't lampshade it. It's like, how convenient.
Now, Gabriel is the type, similar to the prince in Warrior Within. Gabriel is not the type that monologues a lot about himself. He will only do it occasionally, but he will not shy away from interacting with other characters that are around. Also, you're disgusting. What the fuck are you doing? Okay.
Hey, you're the one.
Oh shit!
Also, you're the one who disturbed it.
But yeah, it was mostly a trap because it's a bunch of trolls, of course.
Where's their theme song?
There we go.
That's
Biologically speaking, small and great trolls are more or less equal. However, their behavior couldn't be more different. The larger subspecies is very aggressive, whereas small trolls are covered and will quickly flee when outnumbered, often seeking the protection behind their bigger, more violent cousins, from whom will throw rocks at adversaries and harass them on Twitter.
What?
You call it killing two birds with one stone.
Thankfully, the smaller enemies, like in this case the smaller trolls or the smaller lycans, you see now that you have the combat upgrade for the combat cross, you can actually grab them from a distance and perform an insta-kill grab move. But to compensate that, the game spawns a bit more during each wave. But again, since you can deal with them relatively easy, it's fine. The important bit here is to take down the bigger troll, which not only deals more damage, but it's the one that Gabriel has to actually mount.
Of course.
Thankfully, again, if you're playing just, write your cards, again with the combat focus belt, you can actually manage to win a potential stalemate that are pretty swarmed, but instead of just potentially locking yourself out. It all depends on your actual combat skill, and that is something that the game difficulty does not really change. Again, the only thing that mostly changes is enemy health and like how much damage you deal and how much damage is dealt towards you instead. The troll in itself is kind of pathetic in terms of attacking. He has a good shockwave, but you're mostly needing it to free the obstacles from the path. There we go. Alright, let's check the bestiary. Trolls are a dying species living mostly in mountain areas. They are aggressive and territorial. This can sometimes result in attacks on humans who are foolish enough to encroach on the troll's natural habitat. However, cave trolls are usually passive around their own kind and rarely attack each other, though they will often kill to protect their kindred. Men say that when trolls die of old age, they turn to stone, and this can be clearly seen in certain rock formations if one looks closely enough. And also very resistant to your daggers, again, just like the swamp one. There we go.
Daggers.
Yeah, but to be fair, you have, like I said, a limited amount, and you can only upgrade when you find specific, type of, like, upgrade pots, similar to the one in the Metroid games. There we go. Again, when it comes to backtracking, sometimes the diverging path will clearly showcase to you when it's actually, not a wise idea to move forward before you collect everything. Like in this case, you found like an extra gem. There we go. So basically, if you're like a fork in the road, like we just did now, it was wise to just check one side, then going immediately back and check for the other. But otherwise, the collectibles really do help. So even the backtracking that was mentioned at the beginning scroll, actually, it's something that the game actively suggests you to do. So it's a game that is best not to be rushed. Still, I actually did manage to get the platinum fairly easily. The most difficult difficult trophies to get is the one tied to the challenges. I briefly mentioned it, but each chapter, when revisited, will have not hidden, but an extra challenge for you to actually try in order to have it checked on the mark on the map. These challenges vary in quality. Sometimes they are like hit a specific number of enemies without being hit yourself, or finish this puzzle in the least amount of seconds. But some of them can be actually really nasty because some levels do not have combat or are already just one boss fight. So the stipulations given for that particular challenge might be potentially overwhelming.
Would you say that this feels like a worthy successor? Not worthy. Feels like it's worthy of the Castlevania name, or it's just it could have easily just been.
It could have potentially easily be just its own thing. But like I said, I think in the first or the second part at most, I do believe there is some merit as one of the reboots. In that case, I do believe genuinely this is one of the reboots that at worst are just a noble failure and don't actually try to insult the original source material like say DMC did or Bomberman Act Zero. Jesus Christ.
It's also from Konami.
Yeah, or even Frogger the Great Quest. That one is awful.
Or that canceled Mega Man X. Well, it
was supposed to be a first-person shooter. Right.
Yeah, done by some of the key people who did Metroid Prime and the guy who designed the Iron Man suit.
Oof. I mean, I remember seeing the prototype. It's a good thing we never were supposed to actually get to that trailer, But still,
people be like, "Oh, screw you, Capcom! You canceled this." But I was like, guys, if we had gotten this fresh off the heels of DMC Devil May Cry, the backlash would have been terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's.
People really that desperate for Mega Man at that point.
Yes.
There you go. Boy, it does remind me, around this time, even Namco was kind of trying to do a bunch of, not soft, but the actual reboots of their own franchises. Like, there was Dead to Rights, which was weird, to say the least. I still actually have a copy. I did actually try it, but it does feel weird because when to try to reboot the game series after a while. And then there was Splatterhouse 2010, which, like, it's fun, I guess, but it's also weird. There is the fun factor of Jim Cummings swearing, but the enjoyment, the actual enjoyment gameplay will vary depending on how you feel. Also, it has a licensed soundtrack for some reason.
Interesting. Yeah, like this era of gaming was kind of weird when game developers were just trying too hard to appeal to the West.
Or not just that, like you said, and companies thought that the state of their peace was, was that they could not actually continue it, so they had to, reboot a couple of them. So.
Granted, there were some circumstances around that because games weren't selling as well as they were for various reasons. But they said that it was like, you have to realize during the beginning of the 8th gen, at the very start, people were like, are console games dying? Is mobile the future?
I guess in a way the internet did help on that front. But anyway,
the answer to that question was, well, they can coexist.
Anyway, let me talk about this, because Gabriel has just found the other major medallion that he needs for the other major magic powers, the chaos energy. And yes, it's represented by red. Oh, shadow. There you go. Chaos is for the sequel, my bad. Essentially, this, instead of just giving you health, like the light medallion, this one instead just simply put powers up your attack. You deal double the damage without any, back draws of it. Which also gives you also a couple of perks depending on the side weapons that you have equipped. I already read this. Moving on. There you go to check. These medallions are worn by Celestial Brotherhood. Most fear the use of shadow magic and shun its application, but some feel that in order to defeat evil, one must learn both the light and dark aspect of magic. These discs allow the user to transform neutral elemental orbs into shadow energy. Gems can be inserted into the empty slots, and we already read the rest for the light medallion. So again, another form of collectible. Again, for the time being, it will only just be a useful thing for you to handle obstacles. But later down the line, the light and shadow magic, especially alternating between them, will become kind of vital for finishing the game. Well, the game will try to actually tutorialize better on that front when the time comes. So there is that. And much like you need to press Alt L3 for absorbing light magic, you need R3 instead to absorb the shadow ones. And there are some of these, there you go, press in place, but you can only activate using particular magic, corresponding one. If you're using the wrong magic, everyone will just recoil a bit, and you might lose even a bit of health. It depends on the context. But otherwise, they're relatively simple in how you handle them. There we go. So actually, you might as well actually ask a question, like, what actually was your experience with this game? Like, did you actually at least heard about it when it came out?
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah. Oh, I just remember it's like, I saw it, I didn't really care, because it did try to look like a God of War clone.
I know about it.
I was interested in Mirror of Fate.
That's the one after this one, don't worry, that so you will be able to see for yourself.
For me, I just kind of saw, okay, interesting direction to take, I guess, and I just, maybe one day I'll get around to it, and I just never got around to, basically.
Fair enough.
And I know this does have its fans.
Yeah,
It does,
like
actually,
You said,
yeah.
Like you said, well, the fandom of Castlevania is still split about this. There are people who, like me, also generally like it. But mind you, it's not a flawless game at all, even in story-wise. For the most part, it's actually relatively fine, but it does have its moments. But most of the classic fans actually do despise the fact that it was the direction that the series took, even though it was a reboot. And again, the fact that it was the only thing that they got for years, which, like I said, is very much understandable. So I'm not going to dispute that kind of claim. There we go. And with swinging like Spider-Man, we end the chapter. Okay.
Would you mind another Castlevania game in this style, though?
I guess there is a lot about something to talk about when we get to the end of the second game, but I wouldn't mind. Though I would say that the classic fans have waited too long for a proper Castlevania. Lost Thing is a good alternative. I'm not denying that. I just believe that they deserve a proper new Castlevania game.
If we do get a proper Castlevania, should it be in the style of Symphony of the Night or the more traditional stuff with the NES games and Super Castlevania?
Probably a new Metroidvania style, because the collection did suffice a bit for the platforming crowd.
None now remain.
I would be fine either way, to be honest. Anyway, we're about to actually meet a new side character, actually. Gabriel, you wanna get up? Oh, hello. Oh, a crystal, of course. Alright, she's demonstrating the ability of one of the best side weapons. Unfortunately, I cannot show you because they decide to slap a bit of nudity onto this demon.
Sorry, did I just say it out loud?
Apologies, but you just need to know is that it's an insta-kill.
Okay. Is that from that Walking with Dinosaurs movie or something?
No, it's from one of the BBC's, funny sketches. Oh yeah, I expect Gabriel to do a lot in this and the next chapter. Basically, this girl will just show up, basically say hi, and will start going away while Gabriel profoundly signs up, in the distance and says, wait, and nothing happens. There you go, Dej. This is actually the remixed waterfall theme.
Okay.
Again, it's pretty neat, actually. This level is kind of like of a circle. You need to essentially find your way around the level in order to get a steed that you can use to jump upon the gap. There we go. In the meantime, scroll. Dej.
Dear Lord, please help me find a way through this cruel city. I have been your faithful servant, good, honest, and decent. I have seen creatures ride the backs of wargs that they appear almost frame under their control. How could this be? Please, God, show me the way to do that.
Sorry, he died before he could finish. Basically, like I said, this level is mostly circular, but it has a bit of twists and turns, so you might want to explore every cranny in order to get all the collectibles too.
Mm-hmm.
It's also in areas where, like I said, there are some beats where the game actually does peak the 60 frames per second because you're loading into a smaller area. Basically, to sum it up, Jova, Gabriel killed a bit more enemies, found a girl who can use a crystal power in order to summon a demon that insta-kill all enemies on screen.
How
and
nice of her.
And we're about to follow her.
Yes. It's that girl who I think it is, if I recall correctly.
Well, we will see actually her in the next part because we don't. We finished this particular part before meeting her.
Hmm. You cannot carry any more daggers.
Yes. These particular hints can be potentially just turned off in the menu. Might as well actually tell you now. because it's something that I actually forgot it existed until the very end, where I showcase a bit as an extra. You can actually turn on a couple of there are some options that are turned on by default that you can actually turn on to have more HUD-like details, as in something similar to the previous Castlevania games, where you can see the enemy health bar, and you can see how much damage you give, you heal, and you take from the enemies. I actually would have turned it on if I actually remember it was a thing, but sadly I forgot it until the end, so I would, like, way later down the line, so I was like, for the sake of consistency, I just show it like this. I'm normally more of a fan of, more explaining HUDs rather than the more minimalistic, where they, just focus on showing you the game without much data on. But like I said, for the sake of not dividing too much experience, if I recall correctly, I do turn them on from the beginning for the sequel. Now this is the point where you have obtained a rideable warg, but if you actually kill it now and explore a bit more, you will be able to find a couple of more trinkets that catch easily. Then you will have to basically run again in circles and tame another one. Don't worry, I do actually skip most of the backtracking.
Hello.
Shadow Gem. Yeah, that's another thing. We obtained another medallion, Jova, that there you go. That gives you shadow magic, as in powers up your attacks instead of actually healing you. The good thing about again these power ups is that you think they will give you some kind of drawbacks to compensate their cost, but they do not. The only quote unquote catch that there is your skill in combat. So it's an incentive also to perform better as a player. Ow. There we go. Oh, great, the full works of trolls. Yeah, so for most of these first major area, not just Agartha, but the territories of the lycans, you will mostly find, again, werewolves and trolls. It's only starting with the next major act that we'll see a drastic shift in enemy variety due to, the different Lords of Shadow that we tackle, which, does make sense.
Orcs and trolls, dude.
Ow.
Orcs and trolls and gremlins, oh my.
Oh my.
What do we do?
We fight.
Jova, as long as there are no creepy people with puppets in the subway, I'm fine.
Man, that really did a number on you.
I just wasn't expecting it, okay, man? It's just like...
True, I mean, the unexpected can be what catches people off guard the most. I mean, again, I guess you could argue that scene was somewhat creative in the terrors that it created, but Jesus.
Okay, sadly I think there's another... Okay, if I recall correctly, I need to use the troll to actually smash a gate after coming arena. I will get back to this corpse later on. If I recall correctly, it's another scroll, but only the time. There we go. Nice and easy.
Found pure idiot.
Actually, since I asked this to the others, what about you, Jova? Like, did you actually knew this game existence when it came out? Did you learn only later due to the fan reaction?
I knew when this game came out because, Game Informer covered it in their gaming magazine, so...
That's really neat.
I was aware of this game at the time. I
know when a Castlevania thing comes out, and that's all I know.
Oh, that's
It's a
fine.
Castlevania thing.
Alright, the next one, Jova, why not? Actually, no, it's easy. I still scroll, God.
The many areas are blocked, but I have discovered that cave trolls are effective for breaking gates and barriers. If one hits a troll hard enough, it will be...
I don't know. I genuinely don't know what happened. Sorry.
You press.
I mean, having us read these things is kind of pointless if they're only
You
on
clicked
screen
the button,
for,
Tio.
6
That's what
seconds.
happened.
Yeah. I think it was actually my fault.
Oh, look, this guy literally has a sword in his back.
and there you go. Every time you obtain 5 gem, the game Oh,
Well,
okay, so the game soundtrack orgasm, why you get an upgrade. Thanks, I guess.
The point is, he died because he was being chased by trolls. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, not just that. It's a hint towards the things that you can do. Again, the fact that trolls can destroy the gates. Again, despite being technically for lore purposes, the game can actually give you genuine hints. There is one that is a blatant Easter eggs, but I did miss it the first time I came across it, but I did save it for like the extras bit, so stay tuned for that too.
Lovely.
There we go. This new move is actually pretty neat. You just need to hold the triangle button, and Gabriel will start using the whip in a more like infinite shape in terms of how describing the air movement.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Now I think we don't just need to get him another warg, and we should be good to go. There is no. Sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, don't bother seeing me off. I'll let myself out.
There is no actual map feature in here, but to be fair, the areas that you traverse are mostly linear, or at the very least, they have recognizable landmarks that you can use to orient yourself. So you don't really actually get lost when you get down to it.
Might as well ask you, do you prefer Castlevania when it's doing a more linear version, or the Metroidvania?
Metroidvania. I'm perfectly fine with the side-scrolling. You know, it's perfectly fine like any other platformer, unless it's Castlevania 3 or something like Castlevania X on the Super Nintendo, which is a port of Road of Blood, because fuck those. But I really am a sucker for the exploration, you know, and the upgrade system that Metroidvanias do give you. So I wouldn't trade it with any other way.
Castlevania 3 in that regard.
Okay, I like the idea of different characters. You can switch them up, but the difficulty stacked against you feels too cheap. Again, the stairs are a good contender. The idea that the stairs are your absolute worst enemy. The knockback is still in full force, you know. But it's not the most difficult Castlevania that there is. It's just one of the more frustrating when you get down to it. But again, it did, you know, introduce new, improved stuff. Like again, the different characters. It introduced people like Alucard, you know.
Who clearly needed his beauty sleep before he could reach his full potential.
Yes, becoming the shonen that he is now.
For a second, I thought I was going to do the Sith theme from the Star Wars movies.
I can tell you this, Oscar, okay, he's not it's not as much of a fanboy like Masashi Amazu, but there are a couple of moments where he might sound a bit like he's homaging Star Wars. There you go, there's another collectible here. Don't worry, I'll just jump cut to when I get back to work, because it's another shadow gem. There you go. Also, another quality of life thing that the game does is that every time you collect a gem, it automatically replenishes the corresponding thing that it's attached to. So if it's health, it automatically regenerates it. So that is actually, you know, a nice touch.
You just gotta imagine all.
We're just waiting, standing
Do you
there.
know how long I've been waiting here?
You wasted so much of my time.
Wait.
Gabriel, you need to stop doing that.
I'm sure she'll be fine. Also, I love how the warg disappeared in the cutscene.
No, Gabriel was still on top of it.
It's
It
weird.
was just the camera, and now it panned over it.
Kind of weird. You click onto a wall, the game ends.
Alright, tune in for the next part where we actually found out who this mysterious girl is. See ya.
See ya.
Corpse, because you probably fell to her death. See ya.
Yeah.